Today, we're going to dive into a topic that's been quietly reshaping the world's original cryptocurrency. We're talking about runes, and trust me, it's what a lot of people are calling Bitcoin's silent evolution.
Yeah, you've heard this one before, right? That old story. Bitcoin is slow.
And probably this one too, that it's some kind of digital dinosaur, that it just doesn't change with the times.
And here's the kicker. The final piece of that old myth, that all the real innovation, all the exciting stuff was happening somewhere else. But what if all of that is just wrong, or at least missing the bigger picture? What if Bitcoin's most important revolution is happening right now, kind of under the radar? Today, you're going to understand why its protocols have evolved, and why runes might just be the most important step in Bitcoin's entire recent history.
Okay, so let's jump right in and tear down that myth, the whole idea of Bitcoin as this static, never-changing thing.
You know, when Bitcoin first popped up way back in 2009, thanks to the mysterious Satoshi Nakamoto, its job seemed super clear. Be a new kind of decentralized money. And for a long, long time, that's how everyone saw it. Basically, digital gold. A great way to store value, but that's about it. But here's the thing, the tech was never actually just sitting there. And that brings us to the Ordinals revolution, which completely flipped the script on how you could use the blockchain.
Okay, take a look at this timeline, because this is where things get wild. From 2009, pretty steady, and then wham, 2023, the Ordinals protocol just appears. And not even a year later, in 2024, the Runes protocol launches. I mean, the whole pace of innovation just went into overdrive.
So what exactly are Ordinals? Well, they were created by a developer named Casey Rodamore, and it's a super clever way to inscribe data. We're talking images, text, you name it, right onto individual Satoshis, which are the absolute smallest piece of a Bitcoin. All of a sudden, boom, Bitcoin had its own version of NFTs. I'm not just open the floodgates. I mean, the Ordinals protocol quickly led to this new thing called the BRC-20 standard. It was basically a way to create fungible tokens, tokens where each one is identical, like dollar bills. This was the start of a massive transformation. But, spoiler alert, it wasn't exactly a smooth ride. And that brings us right to the heart of the problem with this first wave of innovation. It was, well, inefficient. The classic growing pains you see with any new tech. And this analogy just hits the nail on the head. Imagine using a giant cargo truck to deliver one single letter. I mean, does it work? Sure, the letter gets there. But is it efficient? No way. That's exactly what was happening with the BRC-20 standard. So, here's the deal. BRC-20 was never really designed for how Bitcoin actually works. It was more of a clumsy workaround. And it generated a ton of extra junk data, what people call blockchain bloat. It also had to rely on outside systems just to keep track of everything, which clogged up the network and made transaction costs shoot through the roof for everybody. And yeah, this image really captures what happened next. That inefficiency wasn't just some techie problem on a whiteboard. It created actual traffic jams on the network. It was super frustrating for anyone just trying to get a transaction through. The whole system was feeling the pressure. So, you might be asking, why was BRC-20 such a poor fit? Well, it all comes down to how Bitcoin is built. It runs on something called the UTXO model. The easiest way to think of it is like a wallet full of separate digital dollar bills or notes that represent value. BRC-20 just didn't speak that language. It was like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. So all that inefficiency created a huge need for a better way to do things. And that better way is runes. It's a truly native solution, just an elegant, smart evolution for the entire network. And get this, the Runes protocol was also designed by Casey Rodamore, the very same person who created Ordinals. But this time the whole game plan was different. Runes was designed from the absolute ground up to speak Bitcoin's native language perfectly. This comparison really tells the whole story, doesn't it? Where BRC-20 was that clumsy workaround, Runes is native to the UTXO model. Where BRC-20 caused all that blockchain bloat, Runes is lean and efficient. It doesn't need to lean so heavily on those outside indexers. So the bottom line? We're going from something clunky and congesting to something that's simple, clean, and just works. And that really gets to the heart of it. This is the core philosophy of Runes. It doesn't try to bend Bitcoin into something it isn't, it just adapts to it. And that right there is a massive, powerful difference. Okay, so what does this all mean for the big picture, for the future? Well, it means we're watching Bitcoin's programmable future unfold right before our eyes. It's shifting from being just a static asset to a truly dynamic foundation.
You know, pretty much every great technology goes through these same phases. First, you have the discovery phase, that was Ordinals, opening the door to what was possible. Then comes experimentation, that was BRC-20, pushing the limits and showing us what didn't work. And now we're in the maturity phase. Runes is that refined, grown-up solution that was built on all those lessons learned. So here is the major takeaway, the thing you really need to get. Bitcoin is not just digital gold anymore. It is actively becoming a programmable base layer for creating and trading all kinds of assets. And it's all happening on what is, without a doubt, the most secure and decentralized network in the world. And that changes absolutely everything.
And we're already seeing new projects pop up that are built with this exact philosophy. Take a project like Biddy, for instance. The reason they chose to build on the Rune standard isn't just to chase some trend. No, it's a very deliberate choice about architecture and having a long-term vision that lines up with Bitcoin's natural, efficient evolution. Look, Bitcoin is evolving. It's happening silently, structurally, and it's not stopping. Runes isn't just a fleeting trend. It's a fundamental upgrade. So the question isn't if Bitcoin will keep growing. The real question you should be asking yourself is this: are you going to follow this evolution as it happens, or are you going to wake up one day and realize it's already too late?